Well, hello. It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks I've been using throughout the week. Except I'm not going to do that this week. I'm going to do something different. So this is a themed edition of Pens in Use, and I guess I'll have to use the pens. Before I jump to my credits music and before the light goes, I just thought I'd point out beautiful chives. A lot of digging that I've been doing. And of course there's the whole garden on the back side of the house. So let's dive into it. So I have quite the plethora of pens tonight. From left to right, I have a Pilot Custom 743, the Senator Silver Fox, which is my nickname for it, the Montblanc Monte Rosa Turquoise, Shaeffer Balance, Omas Ogiva, Aurora Duocart, Delta Dolcevita Masterpiece. Drawing a blank what it's called. Platinum 3776 broad with a koi finish. Kaweco Dia 2. Sailor Reglus. Pelikan Silvexa. Rotring. Renaissance with a double broad nib. A Retro 51 Tornado. Parker Duofold Centennial. Parker Sonnet. Sorry. And a Kaigaloo 316. As always, I will be doing my writing samples in this Bomo art journal. But this is the single largest selection of pens that I've ever done in Pens in Use. And I think I'm going to have to go on a second page. So I've never had to do that before. So history is being made in Pens in Use. Plus, I think you're going to see a theme show up as I film this video. So, my first pen is a Pilot Custom 743. It looks a lot like a Pilot Custom 823, except it's black and it uses a cartridge converter system. What makes this pen particularly notable is it has a falcon nib. Some little gouges cut out of the side of the nib. I think they give a lot of flex, don't you? The ink in this pen is Pilot Black. Just their standard issue black ink. Now, I have a cartridge in the pen, but they do sell it bottled. The smell kind of reminds me of dissection fluid. I'm guessing that's the fungicide in it. But just a nice standard black. Now my next pen I call the Senator Silver Fox, because I don't know what its model number is. I have had some communication with a Sailor employee, so I'm hoping I can get some more information about this pen and others, but for now, it's the Silver Fox. Has a interesting, what Kaweco calls these a V nibs. Semi-hooded anyway. The ink in this pen is Lamy black. and you can tell that this pen is not nearly as wet as the Pilot Custom 743. This is a daily writer type of pen. In fact, I really enjoy using this pen. This isn't a pen I bring out to try out a fun ink. This is a pen I bring out to work. And it is wonderful for working. Oops, my tea lid is closed. It's almost 9 o'clock, so I should probably be heading to bed, but I'm doing this instead. So, yeah, this is dry. The Pilot 743 is still wet. My next pen is a Montblanc Monte Rosa turquoise pen. Has a nice semi-hooded nib. Just got to look on Evernote here to see what ink is in this pen, because I don't remember. Oh, I should have guessed. Montblanc Black. I'm almost out of this ink. It has an interesting bottle. I wish I had the bottle to hand. It's kind of like a shoe. And then it has a heel and then the main part. So it's their way of trying to get you to get every last drop of ink out of the bottle. Some pen manufacturers don't seem to care about that, but Montblanc seems to. And I think already you can see a big difference between these three blacks. My next pen is going to have a very, 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 very fine nib. This is a Shaeffer Balance. It is full of Callifolio Noir. Very nice finish on this pen. I don't know, have you figured out what the theme tonight is? Whoops, Sheaffer. This pen took a little bit of work for me to get it writing. A lot of cleaning. Needed a new sack. I don't think I put a new J-bar in it. But a lot of work nevertheless. So Callifolio is supposed to be vintage and friendly basically to any pen. So I'm taking a risk here. But it does look a lot like the Montblanc Black. These are both much less intense than the Lamy Black or the Pilot Black. And I see I smudged Pilot by accident, so whoops. My next pen is an Omas Ogiva. Can't get any of these anymore unless you get them used. But I was lucky. I bought this one in that brief interlude when Omas went out of business. But before people realized that, holy cow, I won't be able to buy an Omas pen anymore. So I was able to get it at a pretty steep discount. Oh, whoops. What's this color? So the nib is a medium, extra flessibile. Which isn't exactly what I wanted when I wanted to buy an Ogiva, but at the time this is what I could find, so yay. The ink in it is Omas Black. Discontinued ink in a discontinued pen. Omas Black doesn't have much to recommend it other than It's black. I also have Omas Gray, so woo! Living dangerously here in North Dakota. I brought up my next pen last week. This is an Aurora Duocart. It's a modern version. I bought this, I don't remember what year, but anyway, when I bought it, I was able to get the vintage packaging for a Duocart with it, which was pretty fun. Till I realized that, oh yeah, the packaging just sits in my basement, doesn't do anything. Whoops! Now, I wonder what ink I'd put in an Aurora pen. I don't know how it is now, but when I bought this pen, you could only get the medium nib. And the ink, of course, you guessed it, Aurora Black. Which I've talked about, black. It's got to be just blackety black. So black that it sucks your soul in and you're left despairing and nothing. This is a very black. Doesn't perform as well on lower quality paper as I would have expected, but it is very nice color. Drink a little more herbal tea. You know what? I don't think I made herbal tea. I think I made Earl Grey, because that doesn't taste like herbal tea. It tastes like Earl Grey. Doggone it. I gotta go to bed. Alright, my next pen. Delta Dolcevita Masterpiece. I think it's gorgeous. I love the looks of this pen. The nib is one of those stupid fusion nibs. I think that's a big gimmick, and not impressed by that. Although it is a very nice steel nib. So what ink did I put in a Delta Dolcevita Masterpiece? Well, as it turns out, the pen actually arrived with a very small model of Delta black ink. So I've got some bottles of black that I need to use up if I'm going to get to that liter of Pelikan 4001 Brilliant Black. My next pen has more fans than I do. This is my Platinum 3776 with a koi finish. I had somebody comment about not seeing the seam. Right there. So this is a celluloid that's been rolled. There it is on the cap. Not a criticism, that's just how the pen's made, but I thought I should point it out. So this is a Platinum 3776 broad, and the nib in this pen, the ink in this pen is actually kind of a fun black. Kyo no Oto. Nureba-iro, which I've heard several translations of this. Crow feathers, woman's hair. Japanese, of course. I don't want to stereotype, but Japanese, woman's hair. What color do you expect? I find it interesting that on Tomoe River paper, you actually get a bit of a sheen. This is actually a really nice ink. Kind of expensive for daily use, but very nice ink. Now, I responded to a comment on Fountain Pen Network this week. Somebody was asking whether to get the Kaweco Dia 2 or to get a Platinum 3776. I advised going for the Platinum 3776, but I do own both. I do own a Kaweco Dia 2. I don't use it very often, but I do own one. This one kind of writes like a marker. Well, that's the choice of the nib that I have in it. The ink that's in it is Noodlers. Heart of Darkness. I'll just advise that if you're ever sweating and you've just gotten this all over your hands, don't wipe off the sweat. I had a mustache for a while. And yeah, I don't like facial hair. You know, I don't like shaving either, so sometimes I'm lazy about that. But I don't like facial hair, so I try to keep that trimmed. And yeah, that was quite the scene for a while. Now, the nib I have on here is the gold nib. They also have a steel nib. It's a little bit different. In fact, I should probably point out that this is the broad gold nib. Kind of stubbish. Can be very wet. It's behaving itself right now, but I've seen it wet. So part of me filming this video is I thought, what are some pens I haven't used in a while? And oops, I found one! My very first Sailor. The Sailor Reglus. This actually has a bit of a sparkle in its finish. Also has a very 70s look to it. But anyway. I don't know the nib size, but that's got to be a fine, don't you think? Oh, it is a fine. I see an F on the side of the nib. Okay. So, Sailor Reglus fine. And the ink is Rohrer and Klingner. Leipziger Schwarz. Of the black inks that I've tried, this is not one of my favorites. It just seems a little too blue to me. I like Rohrer and Klingner inks. I just don't like this one. Sorry. But I have so many pens inked that I've got to keep going here. I have a Pelikan Silvexa. This one is inked up from my 1 liter bottle of Pelikan 4001 Brilliant Black. Slipcap pen. Kind of reminds me of that Senator a little bit. So let's see what it looks like. So this is a good ink. If it's low cost, it's friendly in just about every fountain pen. Not thinking of any downsides to it right now. Just a nice standard black. So what should I put in my next pen? How about the luxury edition of Pelikan Black? So this is a Rotring Renaissance with a double broad nib. Rotring is right there. They have an interesting connection to Pelikan, which I'll have to talk about someday. Oh, and a double broad nib. Which isn't tipped, which is interesting. The ink in it is the Pelikan, Edelstein, Onyx. I was dealing with somebody on Fountain Pen Network that was asking about the difference between the regular Pelikan Black and Pelikan Edelstein Onyx. I'll let you figure out the difference here. Of course, ideally I used them in the same pen, but I didn't. I think the Onyx is a little slower to dry. Perhaps a bit darker. I don't know. It doesn't look that different to me. I hate the bottle more than I hate the Pelikan bottle. Alright, 4 more inks to go. This is a Retro 51 Tornado. The owners of this company have decided to retire, and the company may disappear. If they don't find a buyer, if they find a buyer, of course, they'll continue, but yeah, they're gone. So that's kind of sad. The ink I put in this pen is a Bookbinders, which is another one with a bit of a sheen. Oops, I didn't leave room for the ink swatch. They named all their inks after snakes, which I think is kind of fun. I like snakes. They eat mice. They look really cool. And their biology is kind of interesting. But I learned the hard way. Don't have your sophomores dissect them, because too many kids are freaked out by the snake thing to learn the actual lessons that the snake has to offer. And now that I'm older, I'll be honest, I have some reservations about doing dissections in a high school class, so things change. I'll have to talk about that one day. Alright, my next pen is a Parker Duofold Centennial. Can you guess what ink I would have put in a Parker? So, of course, I have a fine nib in it, and it has Parker Quink. Black. Which is maybe not as black as some of the inks on this page, but is a very good ink on lower quality paper. You saw my next pen last week. It's a Parker Sonnet. I've been using it to address envelopes, so I put a very waterproof ink in it. I put in some platinum, carbon black, What's interesting about carbon black is it sits on top of the paper. It's one of those nano inks, which means it's little particles of ink suspended in water rather than a pigmented ink, which has dyes and such. Just a bit different. And my last pen clearly has some inspiration from the Parker Duofold. This last pen is a Kaweco 316. This is one of the first pens a viewer ever sent to me. He put a Bach nib on it. He said it's just like a Duofold. I'm feeling like I need to put that to the test with a video soon, but anyway, for now. So the nib is a fine, I think. And the ink in it is supposed to be really friendly on bad paper. Something I really need to put to the test. I've never actually used this ink very much. I have a bottle, and it's basically untouched. So why did I buy the bottle? I don't know. So I'll have to figure that out. So you just got to see a whole bunch of different black inks. For a lot of reasons, it just seemed like a good night to do a black-themed ink night. But I will just tell you that black is still to this... Excuse me, I got hiccups. Black is still to this day one of my favorite colors of ink. It's businesslike. And yet when you start studying the black, you're like, holy cow, it has personality. You know, this one has some sheen. Where's the other one that had some sheen? It's a Japanese one, doggone it. Where'd it go? Oh, Nureba-iro. This one had a little sheen. Anyway, the moral of the story is I like black. And maybe my reasons for doing this were politically motivated, but doggone, I just love black ink. So whatever level you want to enjoy this video on, I hope you appreciate that. So let's delve into the commentary. Okay, so which one was your favorite ink? You know, there's a lot of black. It is raining, and the ink I used on this, my notes are not waterproof. We'll see how this goes here. I may be finishing this indoors. I already filmed the end of this video outdoors, so yeah. All right, so which was your favorite ink? Which was your favorite black? You know, I picked Pelikan 4001. I really like Lamy black. In fact, that's my favorite. I didn't expect it to be. So what was your favorite out of all these? And you know, the whole point behind this, I wanted to show the variety of black ink. That's one of my favorite colors. I remember the disappointment when I was a kid and got my very first fountain pen. It was a Parker Vector, and it came with blue cartridges. Parker Quink washable blue. Didn't like that at all. But you know, I used Parker Black for decades, and I kind of branched out in the last few years, but I keep finding myself drawn back to it. I feel like I need to do a video soon about using Parker Quink on cheap paper. That might be an interesting topic. But okay, yeah, it's coming down harder. I'm going to finish this indoors. Okay, so the indoor footage didn't turn out so well, so here I am, but now the sun's shining. And I've got exciting news I can share at the end of this video too, to top off all the other topics. Because if you've been following my Instagram channel, I had some video of police and I found out why. So I'll talk about that at the end. So I'd just gotten done talking about black ink.
And speaking of that, I wrote these notes with Noodler's Heart of Darkness. And there are going to be a whole bunch of rubberneckers driving by, not really looking at me, but now they'll look at me like, what's that guy doing sitting under the tree talking to his phone? But again, we'll get to why. So Heart of Darkness isn't so perfect in the rain, but I can still read it, so that's good. So anyway, I just wanted to show the variety of inks that were possible with one color, the color black. And I'll tell you, honestly, what inspired that idea is Blackout Tuesday. I put up my square of black in solidarity, and a lot of people did. And that's the thing, I can't speak to being black in America, because, I mean, look at me. I'm not one of the people who gets harassed by the police. But I do know wrong when I see it. And that's why I speak out every so often. North Dakota, we don't have a whole lot of racial minorities. It's just not a thing here. We do have the reservations. I taught on one for a few years. And one thing that taught me, I gotta keep hold of that paper, it wants to blow away. One thing that taught me is you really need to live in the community and be part of it to truly understand. I didn't realize how much I didn't know about the reservations until I taught on one. And that was me there for a few weeks, and then I'd come back here, and it's a different world. I don't know what else to say about that. It is a different world. And when you're not part of the community, you don't have that inside understanding. And that's why I've always wanted to be, as you can see, I live in the community where I teach. I don't drive to it and then go to my home somewhere else. No, I'm part of the community. And I think that's been one of the problems that we've seen with police, is they are othering people. That's us against them. Rather than, oh, we are keeping our community safe, because that's what police are for. This is the enemy. When they see protesters, that's the enemy. And is there a racial component to it? Oh yeah. But there's also, as we've seen, it's not just limited to race. So one of the things that came up to my mind, and you may have noticed I didn't put up a video this week, other than, I think I did one on Monday. I didn't put one up. I just had this feeling of everything going on, and oh, I'm gonna do my little fountain pen video. It just didn't seem right. And I'll just tell you, 2020 is shaping up to be a real shitstorm. Whoop, demonetize this video. We started it off with a nice impeachment. Then we have a pandemic. We have mass unemployment, possibly going into a depression. And now we are facing police violence. The whole racial thing is definitely coming to the forefront. And it's only June. What's next? Oh, and apparently Ebola is back in the Congo, so just to put the cherry on it. And don't even get me started on our president, because I could go off there. This little photo op, I don't have a Bible handy. This little, what did he do? Which, by the way, it wasn't upside down, if you've heard that. I mean, it was a weird way to hold it, but it was just a photo op. Beat up, clear out a bunch of people, tear gas people, including the people whose church that is, just so you can have a photo op in front of it. Go you, big man. So anyway, I wasn't feeling it this week and didn't film. Now, I did vent my frustrations by doing lots of digging. You saw some of that in the footage I filmed last night, and you can expect a gardening video soon. I want some stuff to get up. Yeah. That's kind of what I needed to do. But I just couldn't feel, oh, look at my fountain pen. Now, I put a link down below to an interview video influencers did. And they included Roberto Blake, and I forget the lady's name, but anyway, they talked about how, Roberto Blake in the video pointed out, you can't be angry all the time. Protesters need to go home and relax. And that's part of what my channel is just relax and think about pens for a while. So we all need an escape. And apparently I'm not the only one that was thinking this way. Sherry Zeck, I linked to her video too. That was a bug crawling on my face. I don't know what kind. He got away. Sherry Zeck did a video, what was it, about modern flex pens. And she talked about it too, right at the start of the video. But yeah, people need to relax. That's part of what this is. That's why I always put these little talks at the end rather than the beginning. So if all you want to do is relax, and you can turn it off when the pens are done and not listen to me editorialize. Oh, there goes a rabbit across my yard. Rabbits actually apparently like red kohlrabi. They're almost eaten away in my garden. So yeah, I would actually encourage more voices to share, you know, at the level you're comfortable. We can't all be activists, and we can't all be activists all the time. But, you know, share your world. I did a video about that a long time ago, I think. Yeah, it was snowing in the Badlands. I remember that for sure. Okay, now the rabbit's nosing around underneath my car. That's fine. There's grass there. You know, here in North Dakota, everything has been fairly quiet, except last night, but I'll get to that at the end, so you gotta hang on. There were a bunch of motorcyclists around the Dickinson Mall. I guess there was going to be a protest. I don't know why you'd go to the mall. I mean, sorry, but there's nothing in the Dickinson Mall. It's mostly empty stores. There's a grocery store there. Is the only reason I ever go there. But, you know, they line up around the store. There's pictures in the paper, and they get to be all, we're tough vigilantes. And go you dudes. There was some protests in Bismarck. Actually, among the, there were some motorcyclists there too defending, and there were some sightings of KKK flags. In fact, some photographs of them on Main Street. So yes, that element's in North Dakota. But the only real violence that we saw was in Fargo, and I know you're saying Fargo, and I know, but it's all I have. I'm in North Dakota, so just deal with it. And actually, there was an interesting story that came out of it. I make sure I get his name right here. Deputy Chief Todd Osmondson decided to go undercover at the protest. Ooh. Except he didn't tell his superiors. Now, this is a guy with 31 years on the force, so you'd think he'd know better, but apparently not. So he went undercover at the protest, and he was seen with an open container. He says he just picked it up off the street as cover so he could go investigate whether there were guns in this vehicle. But he was seen, is my point, by police, his colleagues. And probably by people who knew he was a police officer. You know, you've heard those stories about police putting agitators into these riots and undercover agents. Here's one, only he's not doing it for the police, which makes it worse. Bad, 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 bad. Oh, and while he's walking around with this open container, he's chanting F the police, only he's not saying F, he's saying the big daddy word. Good look. And he had a sign. He said it was the only one he felt he could hold up. Yeah. So I linked 2 articles about that, because the second article points out that, yeah, he realized finally he has lost trust after 31 years on the force, and he has resigned, which is good. Because if he didn't resign, I think the police would have needed to fire him for doing this undercover work. And, you know, this wasn't even police violence. This was police incompetence. This is going off as a vigilante. And I have a problem with vigilante justice. I have to have my morning coffee. If you hear the morning doves, they want some too. You know, like the 3 vigilante rednecks in Georgia who chased down a jogger and executed him for the crime of maybe stealing something, although apparently he hadn't been stealing. Lovely. So we're not even waiting for the police, we're just going to do it ourselves, god dang it. Oh, could that have said something to do with skin color? If I'd been jogging by, would I have been chased down? Not with this face. And for now, in this country, we can still protest. Hong Kong is suddenly, hey, it's 2020. Hong Kong is suddenly suffering the hammer of China, ending the protests there, and you can get 3 years in prison if you protest during the Chinese national anthem. And we like seeing protests in other countries. You know, the kid who stood in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square, folk hero. Protests against government in other countries, yeah, go get them. But here in America, woo. You know, what we need to do is start making this country better. We have a president who actually wants it made illegal to burn the flag. Now, burning the flag, pretty extreme act, but it should be legal in this country. And he is even on record saying, you know, we have new judges now. States need to start passing laws about it. He's the one who's railed against athletes kneeling during the national anthem. That was a peaceful protest. Apparently it didn't work. That was widely criticized. And a lot of people chose to not understand why it was happening. So 2020 is shaping up to be kind of a rough year. Kind of makes me think of 1968, which I did not live through, thank God. I was still 7 years in the future then. I don't even think my parents were married yet. I think they married the next year. But, you know, that was a year with a lot of assassinations and racial violence. And I had a professor in college, now admittedly very right-wing professor, but who said the country almost fell that year. So, you know, when we have a president talking about putting the military on the streets in America, that terrifies me. And I think it terrifies a lot of the people in the military too. Because a lot of them are good, honorable men. It should terrify all of us. So I'm hoping that as rough as this year has been, this is the year we look back and we say that this is the year the world turned, became a much better place. This is when it all started. That's what I really, really hope. Because we can't just keep going on like this anymore. I think, well, the virus to start with, but the virus is just kind of the catalyst. A lot of problems in this country have been pretty much laid bare this year. We can see the problems, and it's really hard to deny them now. So now the question is, what are we going to do about it? And this is our chance to make this into the world we want, because people are listening right now. So I would encourage you to do that. So I mentioned a little bit of excitement, so I'll throw some video footage in that I took. So I said that there were police down there, about a block away, and the street's blocked off. It's still blocked off this morning. So, you know, at night, not knowing what's going on, I just like, yeah, let's be safe, because you can't tell in the night. So I went over in the day. So we had a little wind last night. I didn't close any windows. There was rain also, because that's why this paper got wet. But I didn't close any windows or anything, because it wasn't really blowing in the house. But apparently it was a very localized, real strong wind, blew the roof off of the clinic. Of course, it's a flat roof, and you'll see the video footage. But and what I really need is a drone, because you know I got as high as I could standing on the street. I don't have a drone, but yeah, pretty extensive. I mean, I had pieces of the roof in my yard. I had a piece of soffit. I had insulation, a lot of branches, but I was expecting that. I wasn't expecting roof, but the reason the street's blocked off is roof is laying all over the street. So yeah, massive cleanup job coming. I feel bad for the motel, you know, the motel guests. I don't know if any vehicles were damaged there. When I saw that piece of soffit in my lawn, I just like, so glad that didn't hit my car or a window or something. So yeah, we had some excitement. And see, there's where the police are doing what they should do. That's why they're there, to keep us safe, to manage these emergencies. Now, with these protests, really, their job should be to manage the crowd, to make sure everybody is safe, to make sure there's no violence. And you know, people talk about getting rid of the police. That's never going to happen. But what we can do is maybe change the culture. So I'm going to leave it there. I think on a semi-happy note. There is hope for the future, and I got a lot less self-conscious sitting out here talking to my phone than I was at the beginning of all this. But we'll see how the footage turns out. The stuff I filmed inside was, so I tried doing the handheld thing and down in the basement, and yeah, it wasn't working. Here you can see the clinic and the damage to the roof. Like I said, I do wish I had a drone. And in this next shot here, just looking up a street. We're looking at the yard of the church that's across the street from the clinic, and just all the pieces of insulation there. There's another view of the clinic, kind of from the side. Again, that whole roof just blew off. And yeah, there's a lot of it laying in the motel's driveway, and the guy standing there going, okay, I got to get this cleared out. And this guy didn't know what to do. He ended up backing away. Instead of trying to leave this way, he found a different way out. And yeah, looking up the street, there's some of the road closed signs. There's our preschool. But yeah, just roofing all over the place. And just an incredible amount of damage. And here's my yard, you know, a block away. I've got some styrofoam in my garden, some branches, of course, and a finger. I found a few more pieces of styrofoam as I walked around. And there's just, yeah, those aren't branches from trees at my house. They are cottonwood, and I don't own any cottonwood trees. And finally, a piece of soffit I found in my yard, which so glad it didn't go through a window or into the car. So yeah, to the displeasure of some, I do tend to get political once in a while, and I'm sorry, the things going on in our country right now deserve to be political, but I felt it was worth getting into that tonight. I dreamed that this will become a better country, and I can't just sit to the side and hope it happens. I have to do my little part with my little channel here on YouTube. So I want to thank you all for sticking with me, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching. And if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old, and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And I would invite you to comment down below about your favorite black ink, or perhaps you'd be interested in commenting on some of the larger issues that are going on in our country right now, because truth be told, there's a lot of them going on right now. So thank you for watching. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.